Hello Kitty is a character created by Yuko Shimizu and owned by the Japanese entertainment company Sanrio. She may seem like a simple character, a simple design with minimal background, whose popularity most likely stems from the fact that even children are able to draw her.
50 years ago, Sanrio introduced what's become one of the world's most beloved characters, Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty is pure and she's innocent.
I love Hello Kitty so much. She's the love of my life.
However, what if I told you there was in fact far more to the anthropomorphic kitten than meets the eye?
Hello Kitty Sanrio character, very popular, but did you know Hello Kitty isn't actually a cat?
She may look like a friendly feline, but this week, fans of Hello Kitty were told the shocking truth.
Today, we examine the very deliberate design of Hello Kitty and how it sparked not only a riot, but served as a Trojan horse for Japanese culture and changed the very landscape of Singapore as we see it today, as the world said goodbye to adult responsibilities and said, Hello Kitty.
Yeah, we really apologize for that.
For offering me 500, 1,000.
Today I am in Singapore at the airport at a Sanrio carnival.
An important reason why Hello Kitty blew up in East and Southeast Asian cultures rather than Western ones is kawaii culture, or cute culture. The term kawaii comes from Japanese, often translated as cute or adorable, but in its original nuance, it also implies vulnerability, innocence, and lovability. The kawaii aesthetic is simple, cute, non-threatening, with minimal facial features, and an overall childlike or innocent design.
Cute culture originated among the youth, but notes that the consumer boom, which started in the 1970s, led companies to capitalize on the cute trend.
In the 1980s and 1990s, Japan underwent an economic boom, and with that came the export of kawaii culture to other Asian countries. What makes the concept of kawaii so appealing in a high-pressure, competitive place like Japan and others? It's that it offers a form of escapism into the soft and playful. Now it's partly due to this reason that the largest consumers of Hello Kitty products in Japan are not children, but women in their late 20s and early 30s. Part of the reason why kawaii culture lingers even with adult Japanese women in their 30s is because, much like the rest of the world, women in Japan are often only seen as valuable in the eyes of men and consumer culture until around age 25. Many have pointed to the adoption of kawaii culture as a reaction to this idea that women are aging out of their worth and are using cuteness as a way of remaining viewed as young by the society that surrounds them.
Hiroto Murasawa of Osaka Shoin Women's University talked about how in Japan, single women in their 30s are sometimes referred to as leftover Christmas cake, aka they're no good after the 25th. And I'm not saying that owning cute things or liking cute things is inherently problematic, but I just wish there was more of a cultural interest in the hobbies and characteristics associated with older women.
Armed with this information, it's not difficult to see why Hello Kitty was such a hit. Hello Kitty embodies the kawaii aesthetic, simple, cute, and non-threatening. Everything about the design of the character was deliberate, even down to the absence of a mouth. A spokesperson for Sanrio revealed that Hello Kitty has no mouth, as they want consumers to project their feelings onto the character, and this meant you could be happy or sad, together with Hello Kitty. But the success of Hello Kitty is much more than skin deep. Sometime around the 1970s, Western society, especially London, was becoming increasingly more fashionable in Japan. They shared a number of cultural similarities, but also perceived London as innovative, yet traditional. It is for this reason that it was decided that Hello Kitty should be from a small suburb, just outside of London, as to ride the wave of Japanese fascination with British culture. Of course, this ignores the more industrial and working-class reality of much of British life, but the character appealed to the more idealistic image of an English third grader the Japanese had in their minds. Kitty had a loving family, caring friends, and enjoyed sweet treats like cakes and ice cream. However, Kitty was also trendy. She liked music, playing badminton, and of course, fashion. Kitty loved fashion and appeared in a variety of different outfits, but all of them with a distinct Western flavor. It wouldn't be until 1997 that Sanrio would release a kimono for Kitty. All of this goes a long way in explaining why Hello Kitty wasn't simply a happy accident. It wasn't just a character drawn up that people happened to find cute, but a carefully constructed representation of the cultural shift that was taking place within the youth of Japan. In 1976, Hello Kitty began entering the Singaporean market, and at first experienced some success with young girls, but soon began to drop off. Despite there being some similarities between Japan and Singapore, they are very different countries, and the reasons why Hello Kitty took hold of Japanese culture didn't have the same impact in Singapore. Despite coming to Singapore just 2 years after the initial release in Japan, Hello Kitty had not gripped the children of Singapore the same way. This was because the Japanese children had the benefit of the Hello Kitty cartoon series to provide the character with additional lore and personality, while the children of Singapore were given a fairly ambiguous character to try and relate to. It would not be until the late 1990s that the cartoon would finally make its way to Singapore, but by then it had missed the wave and had fairly poor numbers. For this reason, Hello Kitty doesn't just appeal to multiple generations, but is in fact more popular with adults in Japan. Meanwhile, this nostalgic factor is missing from the adults in Singapore, at least during the 90s, making fans in Singapore tend to be younger than their Japanese counterparts. You might be wondering if Singapore has the same kawaii or cute culture as Japan, and it does. However, it is mainly popular amongst the ethnic Chinese in Singapore, with the Malays and Indians not really being as drawn to the trend. But what about the draw to British culture? Well, because of Singapore once being a colony in the British Empire, they are much more familiar with Britain than many of the Japanese were at the time. While English is the most popular language in Singapore, to Japan the London backstory was far more exotic. But this isn't to say Hello Kitty didn't have a certain foreign appeal to Singaporeans. Of course, to the Japanese, Hello Kitty is English, but to Singaporeans, she's Japanese. Sanrio realized they would need to make a big push into Singaporean culture if they were going to have similar success to what they had experienced in Japan, and took a number of steps to get their foot in the door of Singaporean consciousness. Singaporean celebrities like Anne Koch began being public with their Hello Kitty fandom, and more people began to see Hello Kitty merchandise on their favorite actresses and singers. In 1998, Singapore Airlines offered a Hello Kitty doll in a stewardess uniform, which attracted 7,000 Japanese travelers to Singapore, just so they could get hands on a limited edition kitty. Sogo, a Japanese department store that no longer operates in Singapore, organized a Hello Kitty fair in its department stores, and a Hello Kitty castle was even temporarily built in Suntec City. The promotions were going well, but when Sanrio partnered up with McDonald's in the year 2000, the campaign would be such a success that not only would it cause a riot, but it arguably changed part of Singaporean culture. The incident, often referred to as the Hello Kitty riot or Hello Kitty craze, happened when McDonald's launched a 40-day promotion offering limited edition Hello Kitty dolls in wedding outfits with the purchase of value meals.
So this is the collections from 2000 McDonald. Okay, this first set is a Chinese wedding costume, Japanese costume from Korea, space set, the Malay costume. And this one is the Western style.
The promotion drew unprecedented crowds to McDonald's outlets across the island nation. Frantic fans jostled and pushed to get their hands on the dolls. Breaking the restaurant's glass windows and getting into fistfights over toys was not unheard of. And on multiple occasions, police had to be called to bring order to various McDonald's locations. Crowds grew so big, however, that even the police didn't have the manpower to organize the masses. And so private security would have to be hired not just by McDonald's, but by any local business nearby. In the end, over 6,000 other businesses complained about the promotion, claiming they had been negatively affected by the crowds.
The latest crash for the pair of toys saw 6 people being arrested, 3 for rioting, and the rest for disorderly behavior.
Each week during the promotion, a new pair of wedding dolls would be released, and with each release, the hyperfixation of the toy grew, causing it to sell out faster each time. Even more staggering is the fact that 300,000 Singaporeans took part in the promotion, meaning 8% of the entire population of the country stood in line at some point for a Hello Kitty doll. Things got so heated during the campaign that Deputy Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong tried to reason with the rabid populace that once in a while is all right, but we should not get too carried away. Even if you want the kitty, there is no need to fight fiercely to try and get one. In response to the chaos and injuries, McDonald's issued a public apology and implemented measures to manage the demand, such as limiting the number of meals each customer could buy, and changing how the final set of dolls was distributed, using vouchers for later redemption instead of immediate sale. But by then, the promotion had already achieved its goal. Hello Kitty had become one of the most talked about brands in Singapore. So, why was the campaign so successful? After all, KFC had done a Pokemon promotion that very same year and experienced a small fraction of the attention gathered by Hello Kitty and McDonald's. So, what gives? First of all, McDonald's is truly the master of these kinds of collaborations. They are not only a dominant fast food brand, but they also have a relationship with children. And places like KFC simply do not. They installed soft plays in many of their restaurants. They made Happy Meals. Their mascot was a clown, for God's sake. So, when McDonald's announces they are giving away a new toy, the public takes notice. However, this doesn't entirely explain the unprecedented popularity of the Hello Kitty promotion. Hello Kitty was not a mega brand in Singapore like it is now, and McDonald's had done other collabs with bigger and more recognized IPs. So, what made this one different? Well, although Hello Kitty wasn't popping off in Singapore the way it was in Japan, this didn't mean that Singaporeans were not aware of the massive collectability Hello Kitty products had overseas. So, when McDonald's announced they would be releasing a limited edition Hello Kitty set with unique designs, people saw dollar signs. Because Singapore was the first nation to launch this new promotion, many assumed that the designs would be exclusive to Singapore, meaning not only would people have to travel to Singapore to get them, but they would be in extremely low supply, with an extremely high demand. Thus, people thought the resale value of these dolls would be astronomical. There were, of course, genuine Hello Kitty fans in the long lines outside McDonald's, as well as boyfriends and relatives trying to impress the special lady in their life who loved Hello Kitty. But a significant driving force behind why the promotion blew up in the way it did is because people thought it would be a goldmine down the line. They were mistaken. Once the campaign had finished in Singapore, similar series would also be launched in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, and even Japan, causing the value of the Hello Kitty dolls to plummet. Now you may think this sounds like failure on the part of Sanrio and the Hello Kitty brand, but sometimes in marketing, any publicity is good publicity. The impact of the Hello Kitty craze in Singapore was significant. In the short term, it created a negative perception of the character. Many people blamed Hello Kitty for the chaos that unfolded and felt cheated when they were unable to resell the toys for profit. For a while, Hello Kitty seemed to lose its charm in Singapore. However, in the long run, the craze actually benefited the brand because it greatly increased public awareness and turned Hello Kitty into a household name. Many local companies soon jumped on the trend and began using Hello Kitty to promote their products. Hello Kitty grew and grew in Singapore, and the kitten's iconography can be found all over the island, whether that's people wearing the merchandise, the multiple Hello Kitty stores, or just dotted around public spaces like airports, on cable cars, and even featured in Singapore's famous Gardens by the Bay exhibit. Poorland, Sanrio's indoor theme park in suburban Tokyo, is often referred to by Singaporeans and other Asians as Hello Kitty Land. It quickly became a must-see attraction for all Singaporeans who were making the trip to Tokyo on vacation. But Japan didn't just export a doll or a character to Singapore. It brought with it more of the kawaii culture. Whilst Singaporeans found Hello Kitty childish in the 90s, the acceptance of cute culture meant Hello Kitty could now be enjoyed by Singaporean adult women too. In addition, Singapore's design language, signage, and even public communication frequently use cute, soft iconography. Studies show that many public symbols on transit systems, in MRT stations, and in public information materials have been kawaiified, adopting friendly, approachable icons instead of strictly functional designs. This is more than just an aesthetic choice. It reflects Singapore's broader social values of harmony, order, and clarity, using gentle visual cues to make rules and information feel less authoritarian. When we zoom out on the impact of what Hello Kitty and kawaii culture has had on Singapore, it is easy to summarize the endeavor as a marketing success of a brand. Does that mean that's all there is to see? Hello Kitty does not just represent a cute character, it's an escape from the expectations on us to grow up. And kawaii culture is truly born out of this. The world we inhabit today is complex, large, scary. Most people have never felt more disillusioned with the social contract being offered to them by their governments. Kawaii is the rejection of this. That is not to say cute culture is a form of rebellion. It isn't. The Singaporean government uses kawaii in its messaging because it likes the submissiveness it encourages. Kawaii culture is far better described as a coping mechanism, one born out of a desire to escape the monotony and stress adult life can bring. Hello Kitty just happened to speak to women, and Asian women in particular, as it was subconsciously relatable.
Writer Angela Choi echoed similar sentiments. Hello Kitty is such a symbol for Asian women. We see her as this kind of mouthless kitty, like a lot of the stereotypes of Asian women. That they're submissive, they have to be demure, and they have to be polite, they have to be X, Y, and Z. It fits very much into that image of Kitty.
Recently, Hello Kitty and kawaii culture have only continued to grow in popularity. McDonald's even reran the Hello Kitty promotion in 2013.
Here's your special Hello Kitty Lion King doll.
It says this year you can enter the world of Hello Kitty fairy tales.
And much like the craze of 2000, the queues across Singapore were enormous. In a fascinating tale of how brands can both direct and reflect culture, one is left asking oneself, was a small cat all Singapore said hello to in the millennium?